Hello folks, today I'm going to show you how to build a backend application to trigger those notifications with Firebase. And for that, we'll be using a Postman, just trigger a sample notification. I want to show you what's gonna be the end result before building anything, right? So let's go with that. We have this endpoint. We're gonna send a post request with this kind of content, pretty much the title, the body, and the token is the token that is being generated from the front-end application. And let's see, you can see on the right-hand side, we have the notification message and the test chromie. So let's change that so you can see, and we'll get a different one. Okay, test2, test chromie, that's pretty much it. Now let me move this away so you can see what will happen if we are actually living inside the application. So I'll trigger another one just now. And you see again, test Chromie, test2, and it's working. So we will be using Java, Spring Boot. We're going to use probably the Spring Initializer page to download the project, and we'll go from there. Okay, to build the backend project, we're going to use Spring Boot, and for that, we're going to use Spring Initializer. In here you can find, if you prefer to use Maven, Gradle, or whatever, the language that you're going to use, Java, Kotlin, Groovy, the specific version, and all the metadata that we will need, right? So in our case, we're going to use either Maven, Gradle, whatever, doesn't really matter. We're going to use Java, the specific version, and the name of the project we're going to use, let me check, since we had the backend the front-end application already, which is called front-end push app. We're going to use backend push app for the backend name. Sorry, that's the artifact demo name. Firebase. Oh, push notifications, and that's it. Backend app, the Spring demo project, Firebase, push notifications, and that's gonna be it. A couple of dependencies that we will need is Spring Boot DevTools, the Lombok, and the Spring Web. And we also need the Firebase admin, but I tried to find it here and it's not there. So we'll add that manually for, yeah, so that's pretty much it. And we'll just download this one and just move that inside our Git repository. Okay, here we are back to our development environment. We have the backend push application. As you can see, it's a Maven project. You can find the pump here, and one dependency that we're missing, like we have the web, DevTools, Lombok, and by default the starter test. One thing that we're going to add also is the Firebase admin. You can see this is the dependency. Let me just zoom in so you can see a bit better. And this is it, right? So the next thing that we're gonna do is just make sure everything builds and works correctly. So for that, let me just open a terminal. We have it here. We're not going to update that now. And we are going to, let me check. Yeah, go into the backend and clean install first to make sure everything is working. And yep, that's it. And then we're going to do now a Spring Boot run, and that will start the application. Let's see if that works. That's it. So by default, it's 8080. Let's see. Okay, this is working. There's no static resource. That's why we are getting this error, but it's up and running. The application is working. Now we can just kill it And I'll show you next the structure of the application here. Okay, here we are in the code. Let me zoom in a bit. And as you can see, we have the source package or kind of folder, and inside we have main, Java, and kind of a normal kind of a packaging, right? So what we're going to do is create first kind of a couple of entities that we will need. So for that, we can use new Java class, and in this entity dot, we're gonna require a notification request and response. Notification request and response. So that's one, and the other one is gonna be notification response. That's it. And we have those kind of entities already. So if we go into the request, actually, let's define a couple of variables, which is going to be private string title, same for body, and another one for uh, token. And that's it. And with logbook, we'll just get, let me just import it. Logbook. Yeah, for now, let's go with that. And then getters, setters on all R constructor and no R constructor. That's what we will need. Then for the response, similarly, we're going to import logbook. That's it. We're gonna create a status and message. That's it. And we are going to use the same getters, setters, all R constructors and no R constructor. That's pretty much it. Really efficient. And the next part, we're gonna move into the controller and kind of services and yeah, everything. Okay, let's move on. So the next thing is the controller. So we're gonna create again a new Java file. Let me check here. This is it, a new class. And we're gonna use a package controller. And we're gonna call it notification controller, right? That's it. And in here, we're gonna expose kind of the endpoint. So let's use the post mapping and we're going to expose the notification endpoint and then we are going to create a method that's going to return a response entity and we're going to take as parameter the notification request that we just created here and we're going to add the annotation for request body. Okay. Let me request. There's a space. No, sorry. There's a space here. That's it. And then the next step is return new response entity. And this will contain the new notification response with the HTTP status 200, which is okay. Let me check if I use the right one. Okay, volume. That's it. And then the notification has been sent. Message. That's it. Let me check if something's missing. Oh yeah, here. That's perfect. Now we have that endpoint created. Let's move on and create first the initializer and then the service. So for this, we'll just create a new package called service, but we'll just take the opportunity to create everything. So service and then service and then uh, Firebase cloud messaging initializer. Perfect. Now in here, we're gonna do a couple of things. This is going to be a service from Spring Framework point of view. We're gonna get a value from the configuration file. So this will contain the path of that specific file that we're gonna download from kind of a Firebase itself. Let's put a logger here. Uh, maybe the import here, and that's it. And then we'll just create a kind of a post construct method. And then public initialize. Okay, and in here we are going to pretty much call Firebase options. New Firebase options builder. Set credentials, and the credentials are going to be from a stream, and in this stream we provide new class path reference resource using the Firebase config path, and we get the get input stream. Um, this is how everything is looking at the moment. Let's catch IO option. We just print the message here. What else? What's missing here? maybe, let me check. Firebase options builder. Yeah, that's it. We were missing kind of the build part. And then with the options, if Firebase up get apps is empty, then we use the Firebase app, initialize app, providing the options, and we just use logger again, and we provide the message. That's it. So as you can see, it's just kind of pretty much taking the configuration that we are going to download from Firebase and provide that kind of to the Firebase kind of application, and that's it. So now let's move on to the service part, which is going to be just again sending the message. So as part of this, we're going to create a new Java class and we're going to call it FCM service. And in here, again, we call it service. We annotate that with service. And we obtain the logger. For some reason, this is not being imported, but we fix that like that. And then we're gonna create a method that will contain the message from Firebase. Um, this will throw a couple of exceptions, but we'll come back to that. So return Firebase messaging, get instance. We are going to send an async message, the message, and we obtain the response. Oh yeah, the exceptions. So we just add those. Those are being sent. Okay. And then we expose the method to actually send the message, which is going to be with token. And we're gonna get a notification request. Again, it's gonna throw probably the same exceptions, but notification. We go into here, vacation builder. Then we set the title as originally from the request. Get title. We set the body with the request volume and we build it. That's the notification part. Then the message. build a message. We set the notification with the notification we just created. And then we set the token with the request token. And we build it. That's it. And the next step, it's just going to print the information. So yes, we create that here. And then we format the message in a JSON way. And we invoke the send and get method that we just created. And then we print something to see what's going on, right? That's what we will use for now. Oh yeah, let me just add those exceptions here too. And there we have it. What else? What's missing? We have the controller. Oh yeah, let's go update the controller now because we'll need to fix a couple of things. So REST controller, and we'll also inject the service. So auto wire on. That's the service, and we are going to use it to send the actual message. So with the request, and then again we throw those exceptions here. And I believe that's pretty much it. We have the entities, we have the service, we have the controller, and now it's time just to get kind of things going. Okay, now the code is ready. Something that is missing is the actual file that we're going to use for here. So before that, let's kind of define the name of the file. We're gonna use it like this. So as you see, this is just kind of a value, a property that we will be using, and the name that we will use as reference is going to be this one. So we need to download that and actually put it here also. For that, we go into our front end application. Let me just check. Into the project, yes, and we go into the settings. And in here, you can see that we have service accounts. This is what we're going to use to connect to Firebase. From here, you can download, well, you have the code to initialize the app itself. As you can see here, it's pretty much the code that we just created and providing this JSON file, right? So then you just click generate new private key and that will download a JSON file itself. So let me do that. Yep, all the security concerns there, that's fine. And I'll show you in the IDE. Okay, so we have the actual FCM credentials here in the resources folder. And one last thing that I was missing was fixing this value to point to the right placeholder, which is pretty much this one in here. And from here, we're referencing that file, right? So now with that, let me close everything. And then on the terminal, Actually, close that one. Let's use the previous one. So let's install everything, make sure there's no problems, and then we'll go with the run part. And everything seems to be working. At least kind of a Firebase is initialized. You can see it here. So what's gonna happen now is we're going to use Postman, start the front-end application, get the token from there, and send a request to this kind of a backend application with that token, and that will send a notification up to the front end. That's kind of the idea. What will happen in real life is that kind of every time that the front end is kind of connected to the back end, you can kind of save that token ID to post kind of notifications later on today. But today we're going to simulate that just by kind of a post request to the backend service, right? So, okay, let's move into that part now. Perfect. Now we have the backend application ready, written in Java with Spring Boot. And on the front end side, we have the React application with Byte. So now it's time just to test that everything still works and that we can send a message from the backend point of view up until the browser. And so let's do that. I'll just open a terminal. In this case, we need two terminals, one to start the front-end application, the other one to start the backend one. So npm, let's start the front-end one, that's it. And in here, we're gonna do with Spring Boot run. Let's wait for that to be ready. And we have that ready. So I'll open the browser. We have it here. Actually, let me show the token. This is the token that we're gonna use. First, we're gonna test the front-end part alone. Like in here, we're gonna send a message. I already created that token. It's the same, yes. And we send the message, and we should be able to see this. So you can see QQ, Q1, Q1. We'll send it again. We'll use the same code token, and that's it, Q1, Q1. So I'll move this away to trigger a message, but from the forward from the kind of actual web application. So if I send that again, you'll see something here. Okay, there you go. So it's working. Now let's see if we can do pretty much the same, but from the backend point of view. For that, I'll just bring the postman. If we send a message, we'll get it here. Now I'll move this away and go back to the application. And if you see, we got kind of the actual notification. So everything is working from kind of a backend to front end to the Chrome notification. It's a really kind of good exercise in fairness. So give it a try. It's kind of quite interesting.